Good afternoon, I hope you're all well. I would like to welcome you all today to our training webinar on best practice when running an RFQ. Firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Chris and I'm a customer support manager here at Market Dojo. I'm usually the person you speak to when you start a live chat or you send an email through to at support.
Hi everyone, I'm Elle and I'm the Customer Success Manager here at Market Dojo. So I can see there's a lot of attendees on the call that I've done training with in the past. But for those that I haven't spoken with before, my role is essentially making sure that customers are getting the most out of our service. So that's things like training today, and me and Chris together work on resources, that sort of good stuff. So the aim of today's webinar is to cover off all the key points that people should be aware of when running an RFQ through the tool. Also to go through briefly questionnaire creation, and it's essentially hopefully going to be useful for existing users who want a bit of a refresher on the tool, but also for new users who'd like to get up and running quickly. So yeah, obviously you can see on your screen now the things that we're going to cover off today are getting started in the tool. So going through the dashboard, the help and support that's available, and the Sandpit, which is our test area. We're then going to go through setting up an RFQ event. So the settings, adding documents to it, basic questionnaires and simple lots RFQs. We're not going to cover advanced lots today because we won't have time, but we can cover that in another session later at a later date. We're going to go through the live RFQ sourcing event from a supplier's perspective. So we'll see what they see. We'll then go through the responses that you'll receive from the suppliers, the bidding, and we'll go through multi-stage RFQs. So that's something that we've had in the tool for a little while, but not everyone will be aware of or will have used because it is slightly newer functionality. Once I've kind of gone through the process from start to finish, then there's going to be a section from Chris on the sort of common tasks and support questions that he gets through. So that will be reinviting suppliers, resubmitting questionnaires, and deleting bids. And then we'll have a live Q&A session. So full disclosure, a bunch of the stuff today is pre-recorded because I've got a tendency to waffle on, as has Chris. And we just wanted to make sure, I can see you nodding along there, Chris. So we just wanted to make sure that essentially we've got plenty of time for questions at the end for people to be able to ask what's relevant for them. So yeah, if you've got questions throughout, then please add them into the questions part on your screen. And then yeah, we can cover them off at the end. Generally, most of the questions will come through kind of by you writing them, but if there are people that want to put their hands up as well at the end, then that's fine too. If we can unmute if needed. Cool. So we're gonna kick off with the training now. So Chris, if you would be able to start the recording.
I shall start it now.
Fab. So the first thing you'll see when you log into Market Dojo is this dashboard screen. And the dashboard includes all of the information you might need to be aware of at a glance relating to your sourcing events. Now, when I say sourcing events, I mean RFQs, I mean auctions, and I mean RFIs, questionnaires, that sort of thing. So I'll tend to refer to it as a kind of catch-all phrase that essentially means any tenders that you've got out there. Now, on this dashboard, you'll see the current events that you have live, you'll see anything you're working on that's in draft format, and you'll see your closed events. You'll also see any messages from suppliers, and you'll have this calendar available here. You can drag and drop, you can move things around, so you can customize this page to work for you, and there's a settings section up here if you want to make kind of wider changes to it. Now, another thing I just want to point out before I jump into actually showing you how to set up a sourcing event is Help Dojo here in the bottom right corner. So Help Dojo is our support portal, and in here you'll find a number of guides, resources, videos, walkthroughs, all that useful stuff. And you'll also find our live chat. So the live chat is available for both you and for your suppliers, and you should get a real quick response if you come through this route during UK business hours. If you're contacting outside of UK business hours, this is probably still the quickest way to contact us, but you might wait slightly longer than the kind of few seconds that it will take in business hours in the UK. As I said, this is available for your suppliers. So if a supplier has a question and comes to you asking how to log in or how to place a bid or how to do anything in the tool, then do feel free to just send them to us. You don't need to answer their technical questions. You don't need to kind of provide IT support for them. That's what we're here for. So yeah, please just make sure that your suppliers are aware of this as well, to save yourself some time, really. um, Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into our Sandpit. And our Sandpit is the test environment that we offer. So this basically replicates the live site, but it gives you somewhere to try things out, to practice, and to make sure that you're really comfortable with the tool before you put anything live to your real suppliers. Now, the Sandpit mirrors the live site completely. So anything you do in here, you'll be able to do in live, and you can copy anything that you do in here across to the live site as well. But the beauty of the Sandpit is that you can actually switch your view up here in the top right, and you can try things out from a supplier perspective. So in here, what we can do is create an event, then invite our 3 Sandpit companies. We can then work through the process from their perspective, and then we can see how their responses are going to look for you on the host side once that's all finished. So if you're new to the tool or you're doing something that you haven't done before, then I'd really strongly recommend you get real familiar with the Sandpit, because it's going to allow you to do that practicing and to get really comfortable before you're working with your real suppliers. So I'm going to create an event, and we've got 3 options here. So we can create a new event, we can use a template, or we can clone an event. Now, using a template and cloning an event will basically take out a lot of the work for you. So if you're using a template, there's 2 types of templates available. There's the standard ones that we provide, so everyone will have access to them, and they should give you some kind of useful examples of how things might be done. But there's also the ability for companies to create their own templates. So it may be that your organization has these available, in which case I'd strongly recommend that you have a look at them and that you use the templates that are available to you for your first event. Cloning an event allows you to copy an event entirely or copy parts of it. So you can select which bits you want to take. And you can copy things that are either from inside or outside the Sandpit, and essentially just pick the event you want to copy, pick which bits you want to copy, and then once you click create event, it will take all that information and prevent you from needing to redo something if you've done a similar event previously. For this, though, I'm going to start from scratch. So the first thing you're going to do is name your event, and I'm going to use an example that I use fairly regularly. So I'm going to call this IT hardware tender. So you want to have enough information in this title that the supplier knows what they're clicking on, because this is going to be in the email title. But again, you don't want to kind of provide something here that's not obvious or that goes into too much depth. Next, you're going to add your currency. So the default currency is taken from your profile. So if this is not showing the currency you want to use most regularly, then you can update it in your profile settings. Or on a case-by-case basis, you can change the currency for a specific event. There's the option to make events multi-currency. I'm not going to go into this today, but if you have questions on it and aren't completely sure what you're doing, then do just contact our support team and we'll be able to help. The next bit is adding in your brief. Now, the brief is the body of the email that's going to go out to the suppliers. So again, you want to put in a sufficient amount of detail that they're going to be encouraged to participate, but you don't want to go into so much detail that it's off-putting in a standard email format. There's the option for you to add in additional documents and for you to add in extra text later. So here you just want to keep it nice and clear as to what you're looking for. So the types of things we tend to see in here are introduction to the company, details of the requirement. You might have some key dates in here. It's usually quite good to put some information about the process. So let them know if you're going to be asking a couple of different sets of questions and then asking for pricing, let them know how that's going to work. They will have rules sent across to them and they will be able to see what stages the tender is going to involve. But it's always nice to kind of break it down and make it really simple for suppliers to understand what the process will be. I'd also put in here some information on how to contact, if I can spell contact. So here I'd let the suppliers know that if they've got questions on the tender itself, they should contact you. But if they've got questions on how to use the tool, or if they're having a technical issue or something like that, then they should contact us directly at Market Dojo. So again, you're just kind of offloading those technical questions because it's what we're here for. We're happy to manage that part for you. So yeah, it's just good to let the suppliers know that that's the process as early as possible. So the next thing we're going to do is set up the structure of the event. So we've got 3 options here: questionnaire, RFQ, and online auction. If you include a questionnaire, this essentially means you'll be including a number of questions for the supplier to answer. So this could be uploading documents, it could be answering yes, no, it could be providing a kind of long text response for you. Anything that you would normally ask the supplier to submit via email or via a proposal document or something like that can be included here in your questionnaires. The next option is including an RFQ. So what this means is you'll be asking your suppliers for a price and that you'll be expecting the system to kind of compare and rank those prices. So the third option is creating an online auction, and this is not something I'm going to cover today, but I will be looking at this in future. So there'll be another webinar to kind of talk you through this this option. As I said, today what I'm going to do is include a questionnaire and an RFQ. So we're going to ask our suppliers some questions and then we're going to ask for some pricing. So I'm going to tick each of these boxes and then fill in the information that we need here. So on this page, all we're doing is setting up the structure of the event, really. So we're just choosing which parts we're going to include. Now, first we're going to name our questionnaire, and you can see here I've got lots of options that I've used before. So I'm going to call this one proposal. This is basically just going to name the tab. So you'll see at the top that we're now going to have a tab called proposal. I can also add a deadline here. So if we click on the button, we can then say, right, the deadline for this is going to be next Friday, and let's set it as let's go 5 o'clock. We've got a couple of options here, whether we want to make our questionnaire pre-qualification and whether we want to include scoring. So making the questionnaire pre-qualification will make it a gateway set of questions that the supplier has to answer before they can move on to the next stage. So you might want to do this if you needed everyone to sign an NDA before they can do anything else, or if you wanted all of the suppliers to have agreed to your terms and conditions and met certain criteria before you want them to be able to answer any other questions or see anything else about the tender. I'm not going to take this one for now, but again, if it's something that you're not sure on and you would like a little bit of help on it, then do feel free to contact our support team or contact your account manager. The other option is adding scoring. And again, I'm not going to go into loads of detail on this one, but essentially what you can do here is assign a specific score to any questions that you choose. And if you want to, you can make that even more complex and you can add in weighting. So you can score specific questions and then you could weight certain questions or weight certain sections as being more important. So yeah, this is slightly more complex advanced features. So I'm not going to show them now, but it's absolutely something that's possible. And if you need support on it, just let us know. So yeah, for these, I'm going to untick them both. Then I'm going to add my RFQ. So here, all we're going to need to do is add in a deadline. The bid direction will almost always be reversed. What this means is you're looking for the price to decrease rather than increase. If you were selling something rather than buying, then you'd want a forward bid direction. So I'm going to copy the deadline for my proposal so that it's all in line with one another, and then move on to the next step. This section at the bottom, the tied bid options, again, you would very rarely need to update this. This basically means that if you have it set as equal worst position, if you have two suppliers with identical bids who are in first/second place, for example, then if they're set as equal worst, they will see themselves in second place. If you set it as equal best, they would see themselves as first. Obviously, equal worst kind of gives suppliers a bit more encouragement to change their bid. So I'm going to save this and go on to the next step. And now what we're going to be doing is adding in our content. So the first stage is adding in documents. So here, anything that you would normally attach to an email that you send to the suppliers can be added in as a document to the Documents tab. So you can add documents manually, or some companies will have documents in their library which you can pull from. Yeah, it will just depend on how your account is set up. So for this, we might want to include something like a specification document. We might want to include our NDA. We might want to include terms and conditions. So anything, as I said, that you would normally email out is worth attaching as a document here. So I'm going to upload these documents. So throughout, you can edit these if you need to. You can upload more documents. If you tick this include an invite button, then that will mean that the supplier will receive that document from the very beginning rather than just receiving it when they log in. So if you select to include an invite, then this will mean that the supplier has emailed that document. So I'm going to move on to the next stage, and that's setting up our questions. So if you've chosen to add a questionnaire to your event, you've got a few options in terms of how this is created. We can create a new questionnaire from scratch, which is what we're going to do. We can use our Excel upload functionality to copy and paste questions you've got kind of external from the tool into an Excel spreadsheet and then upload. Or if your company has made templates available, then this is also an option. So here, if there's sets of questions that are being used on a regular basis, either by one individual or by a number of people in the team, these can be templated and then can be used to make things nice and easy for you. As I mentioned here, what I'm going to do is go from scratch. So when we're creating a questionnaire, we can essentially include any of the questions that you would ask for your supplier to provide responses for as part of the tender process. So this might be uploading a document, or it could be providing you with specific text responses. We can have as many questions in here as we need to, and we can also structure the questions in a way that's kind of nice and simple to work through and kind of section things out, that sort of thing. We can add on additional text at the top here. So if you've put some information in your brief, but not all of it, and you want to add additional detail, this is a nice place to do it. Or you could say, please refer to the specification document in the Documents tab. So we can do things like that at the top. Next, we can change the section name for our first section. So here, I'm going to call this one Terms and Conditions. And that's one of the obvious ones I do all the time, as you can see. So we'll call that Terms and Conditions. And then we can add our first question. So here, I'm going to put our first question as, please confirm you accept our terms and conditions. So that's a nice simple one. And then what I'm also going to do is actually link this question to the document I'm referring to. So terms and conditions can be found here. So we'll say that. And what we're then going to do is use this little attachment icon to link our text to the document itself. So we'll select document from the link type, and it's already selected it from the 3 documents that we've uploaded. So I'll click OK. We then have the ability to choose our response type. So we've got lots of different options in here, and it should kind of cover all of the different types of responses you might want the supplier to give. So we've got yes, no, we can get them to pick one from a list or pick a number from a list. We can get them to provide a short response, a longer response, upload a document, provide it in date, table, or numeric format. So really, every option you should need should be available here, and it just makes it possible for you to really ensure that all your suppliers are responding in the same way, which makes their answers really nice and comparable for you. So for this one, I could do it as yes, no, but actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one from a list so I can show you that. So let's say our 2 options that they can choose from are accept and decline. And then all we need to do is save that response. Now, what I'm going to do next is actually provide another question that's linked to this first question. So this is another nice bit of functionality to be aware of. So here we've asked if they can accept our terms. And then what I'm going to ask here is if they've selected decline, why have you declined? So we've got our follow-up question. We can choose whether questions are mandatory or optional here with this box. And then here, we're going to select for this question to display when certain criteria are met. So here we want our why have you declined question to only show if the please confirm you accept our terms and conditions question has a value of decline. So if they say accept, this won't show. So again, we'll move down to the question type, and for this, we want a proper response from them. So we'll give them a paragraph text response here. For paragraph text response questions, you can limit the number of characters. So the default will be 5,000, and if you want to increase or decrease that, then this is where you'll do so. So I'm going to save this question. And that can do for our terms and conditions. Let's now add in a proposal section. So some of the stuff that's going to be slightly more relevant for our specific tender. Okay, and let's save that. So we've got our proposal section. So let's say here, so we're looking at IT hardware. So let's say, please upload details of your warranty. Cool. So for this, we've got them to upload the details of their warranty. So for that, our response type is going to be a document upload. So we'll save this. And then let's add a final question. And then let's say, please confirm time frames for delivery. So we'll have a question around delivery. Again, so all of these we're having as mandatory. We don't need this to show in only certain scenarios. It will show regardless. And for this, our question type, it's fairly short, but let's give them a paragraph text response again for this. And we'll save. And then that can be our question. So a nice thing to be aware of here is that you can sort of drag and drop. You can move things around, so you can put things in an order that suits you once you've uploaded. And if you decide you want to add in additional questions via upload, then again, you can do it from this page. So what I'm going to do next is move on to the lots. And this is where we're going to add in our pricing. So here we've got 2 options. We've got simple lots and advanced lots. Now, if all you're looking for is to give your suppliers a list of items or a list of services and for them to provide you with a price, then simple lots should be sufficient. If you're looking to do something more complex, so if you, for example, wanted each item to have a an item fee and a delivery fee, and you wanted them to then be added together by the system, then you could do that in advanced lots. Or if you needed for each row for the supplier to give you a product name or any other kind of text field, or you wanted numeric fields in here or anything like that, then that can all be covered in advanced lots. Now, I'm not going to cover advanced lots now because it's, again, one of the slightly more complex features, but if you have questions on this, don't hesitate to get in contact with your account manager or with our support team, and we'll certainly be able to help. For this, I'm going to create some simple lots, and I'm just going to do a couple in here to give you a bit of a flavour for how this works. So I've called my event IT hardware, so I'm going to do a standard laptop example. So we're going to be looking for some laptops. Let's say we want to get 50 laptops. So next we're going to choose our unit of measure. Now this is a text field that basically allows you to decide on the format in which you want suppliers to quote. So in here you might choose to put, you want pricing per hour, per meter squared, it could be per item, it could be per box. It really will depend on exactly what format you want the supplier to quote in. So it's important that you get this detail right so that you then get that level of consistency between what the suppliers are offering. So here I'm going to do my price per laptop. The next field is an optional field, but I strongly recommend you complete it. So this is the current price. Now, this is the price against which your savings will be calculated. So if you know what you're paying at the moment, this is what you'll put in the box. However, if you don't know that, then I'd still recommend filling it out if you can by potentially putting in your expected cost or your budget, anything that you want the savings to be calculated against. This field is never shown to the suppliers, so it's not something that you need to worry about them having access to. So for this, let's say our current price, let's say our laptops is £600. The next field, qualification price, is also optional, but this one you're more likely to want to leave blank. So the qualification price is the upper limit above which you do not want to see supplier bids. So if, for example, 600 was your budget and you actually can't accept any bids above that, then you might look to put in a qualification price at that point. In many cases, or in most cases, if you're not 100% sure of how the market looks and you're not sure what the highest prices are going to look like, then leave this blank and it gives suppliers free rein. So I'm going to scroll down and save this one. And then I'm just going to add in one more lot so that we've got a couple to look at. And I'm going to add in my HDMI cables. Here, let's say we just want 20 of these. And for this, let's say we want per box of 4. Now, again, we want to add in a current price, and I'm not really sure how much a box of HDMI cables costs, so I'm going to say it's 30 quid. For this, we'll leave the qualification price blank, so there isn't an upper limit. We're happy to receive bids above that price if needs be. So I'm going to save this. Similarly to the questionnaire element, if you have a number of items, it's all kind of put together in an Excel spreadsheet, and really if you're looking at more than sort of 10 items, I would say this is worthwhile. We have the option here to use an Excel upload. So you can access it from the original screen where you're choosing between simple and advanced lots, or if you access it from here, then it's kind of hidden behind this little eye. We've got a template that you can use. But that's it in terms of adding in the lots. So hopefully it's nice and simple for you. And as I said, if this doesn't cover exactly what you're looking for, then it's worth having a look at advanced lots and potentially asking for some advice on that. Now, the final stage is inviting our participants. So because I'm in the Sandpit, I've only got our Sandpit companies to invite. So we can see here, this is all that's available from our database. If you were in the live site, you'd be able to see any of your existing suppliers in the database, or you could add in via email address, or you can add a group or pick from a list. Sorry, you can upload a list or pick a group. So there's lots of options available there for you when you're adding your suppliers. For this though, I am going to invite our 3 Sandpit companies. Now, The final stage before this goes live is just to click our invite participants and finish button. Now what that does is it sends an email to the suppliers that you've selected here. In that email, they will see the brief that you've written, they will see the rules of the event, and they'll see a link bringing them through to your sourcing event. Now, if they've used Market Dojo before and they have an account, it'll bring them straight through to log in and through to accept that. If they haven't used Market Dojo before, then they'll be taken through to a page to set up an account first. So yeah, that's kind of the process that they would go through. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to switch my view and I'm going to show you what the suppliers will see. So I'm going to switch here to being participant 1. And then we can just work through the process from start to finish as they're going to see it. So when they receive the email, the first page that they'll be brought through to is this page. So they'll see the name of your event and they'll have the option to accept or decline. So for this, we will accept. They'll then be brought through to an overview page, which gives them the information that they need. So there's the brief that we've created, there's the contact details for you, there's the rules of the event, and there's the different stages that they're going to need to complete. They then just need to work through this from left to right. So for this particular event where we've got our questionnaire and our RFQ, the first thing they'll do is answer the questions. So because this hasn't been submitted yet, we can see a little red cross here. Once it's completed, this will switch to a green tick. So the first thing they've been asked is to upload the details of their warranty. So I'm going to drag and drop a document for that. We've then got timeframes for delivery. Let's say, I'm just going to put in 14 days. We then have the question around terms and conditions. So we can see here, until they've answered, we just have question 2.1. So please confirm you accept our terms and conditions. If they select decline, then we have this extra box appear. So we've got the extra question. If they select accept, then that will disappear. We've also got this hyperlink to take them through to the document for them to review it. So I'm going to accept this and submit my answers. Now, once that's been submitted, we can see this green tick has appeared. The final stage for the supplier is to complete the RFQs and provide their bids. So here we've got our two lots. We've got our laptops and our HDMI cables. So for laptops, I'm just going to add a high bid first so we can see how that looks for the qualification price. So here I've got above that qualification price that we added, so we can see that the supplier has been asked to amend their bid by around 10% and resubmit. So they never see that full qualification price. They won't know exactly what that figure is, but they will know if they've kind of gone too high and they need to reevaluate. So for here, I'm going to drop my price by 10% and submit. And now my bid's been received. So next I'll add in my other bid and submit that. And then from the supplier's perspective, that's everything done. So they've completed it, they've completed the questions, they've completed their bids. Throughout the process, they can review any documents in the Documents tab. So these are the ones that we've uploaded, but they can also review anything that they've uploaded as well. They can also send you messages. So let's pop a message in here. Please can, I can't type. So please can you confirm that my bid has been received? So we can send that. And they'll also at the top here see the deadline ticking down. So they'll know how much longer they've got left until they need to complete their submission. So yeah, from the supplier's perspective, that's kind of all there is to it. So I'm going to jump back in as the host now and show you how it's going to look from your perspective. So here we have our message from our supplier. So in the messages section, we see this as show as a little number 1. and we've got the email to review. I'm just going to mark this one as read for now, and in a moment I will show you how to send messages as well. What I wanted to do first is just jump into this participants tab, because there's a few things in here that are worth noting. So here we can see that we've got our 3 suppliers that we've invited. Participant 1 is the supplier that I switched my view to. So here we can see that the supplier is registered, they've accepted the invitation, and they've completed the questionnaire, and they've provided quotes for both lots. So we can see what this supplier has done. We can also see that they've downloaded one of the 3 documents that we uploaded, and that they've sent you a message. So we've got a nice overview of what's happened with this supplier. For participant 2 and 3, we've not done anything for them yet. So here, neither of them have accepted the invite, and they've not submitted questions or provided bids. Now, throughout the process, it's really helpful for you to keep an eye on this participants tab, so you know which suppliers you need to chase. In the live site, as well as being able to see that they've not accepted the invite, you'd also be able to see which suppliers have had the email invitation delivered to them. So, and which ones have opened it. So if they've received the email but done nothing with it, you'll see it as delivered. If they've received the email and they've opened it, but they haven't gone any further, so they haven't accepted the invitation, then you'll see that as opened. And then once they've kind of gone further, you'll see it as registered and accepted. So this means that you know which suppliers might need a nudge, or potentially which suppliers haven't actually seen your email. So it's really useful to keep an eye on this, and to make sure that you're kind of in and out of this tab to ensure that you're chasing the right people. What I'm going to do next is move on to the responses, and I'm going to kind of, in the background, have the additional responses filled out so that we can see the comparison between the 3. So all the supplier responses to your questionnaire will be held on the relevant tab. So here on the proposal tab, we can review our supplier questionnaire responses. So here we've got all 3 suppliers now with their information submitted, and we can see them next to one another, which makes it really easy for us to compare and contrast. So we've got responses to all questions. So participant 1 and 2 both accepted the terms. So this question is blank because they didn't see it, whereas participant 3, they declined. So on here, we've got that additional response for them. This is also the page where you would do scoring if you were scoring your questionnaire. Our supplier responses can be exported, so we can click on the export report button, and this will allow us to export all of this out into Excel. And yeah, we can nice and easily access any of the documents that they've completed and that sort of thing. So it should be a real nice, easy place for you to have that comparison. So rather than when you've done a tender through email or through specific proposal documents being uploaded, this means that for everything that's important to you, you've got a clear response from each supplier in a much more easy to compare format. Now I'm going to move on to the Rfq tab, where we've got our supplier bids. So here we can see for each item the current value. We can see if there was a qualification price that needed to be submitted. We can see the best bid. We can see who submitted that best bid, and we can see what the savings offered were. So here we've got participant 3 and participant 1, both are the best for one particular item, and we can see that we're saving, and we're saving 16.67% on both of them actually, so that's nice. Here we can expand out our participants, so we can see the bids from participant 1, 2, and 3. And then it's really easy for you to do that comparison here as well. Up here we can see that the deadline hasn't yet passed. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to end this event early so that I can show you a few other features that are really useful for you here. Now, I don't recommend you do this in real life. There's deadlines that you've given for a reason. So unless you've had all of the suppliers submit things much earlier than expected, you'd probably want everything to run through to completion. But yeah, for this, I'm just gonna end my RFQ early, and then I can show you a few things. So now that the RFQ is ended, we've got a few extra options. So down here in the further actions, we can download a report. So that will export all of this information into Excel, which makes it nice and easy for you to do any analysis. We can award the lots. So here, if you want to, you can actually award the lots specifically through the tool rather than needing to do it externally. Or we can add another bidding round. So I'm going to add another bidding round just so that you can see how this works. So here we would select the deadline. So we can say, right, I'm going to have the deadline for that as one day next week. And you can choose which suppliers are going to be involved in the next bidding round. So you might say, right, supplier 2 and 3, their bids are better. So I'm going to remove supplier 1 from this. And you can choose who is relevant. You can also then choose whether you want to allow the supplier's bids to increase. So if, for example, the spec has changed slightly and the next round you want suppliers to be able to quote accordingly based on a change in spec, you can allow increased bids. And you can also choose whether or not to show the suppliers their rank from the first round. So if actually you think, you know what, I want suppliers to be able to know if they're in first place or fifth place, you can select to show the rank to them, and then they won't get any other information, so they won't know what the other bids look like, but they will know how they compare. So yeah, that's optional, and you can choose to leave that off if you want to. And that's kind of how the process works. So it should hopefully be nice and simple and easy for you to work through. A couple of other bits to be aware of here is the messages tab. So I mentioned that I'd let you know how to send messages. So here we can see our previous messages received, but we can also send out a new message. And with this, we can choose to send it to all participants. We could choose that we want to send it to all active participants or everyone that you've declined. You've got that option to be able to send things out en masse, or you could just choose to send to 1 or 2 specific participants. Let's just say hello. Similar to the suppliers, you've got access to this document section throughout, so you can review all documents submitted by all suppliers in one place. And you also have the option to add notes. So if throughout the process you're having extra conversations outside of the tool, or you've got kind of additional pieces of information that you want to remember for next time, you can store them here. So you could store it against the event itself, or you could store it against a specific participant. Let's say you could say that they're slow to respond to all communication and does not answer calls. I don't know, all this sort of stuff that's useful to know for next time. So let's save that. And that is the process. So the tool is designed to be simple. It's designed to be nice and easy for you to kind of get to grips with. And hopefully for new users, with the Sandpit available there for you to test things out in, it should be nice and easy for you to get up and running. As I mentioned, you've absolutely got our support team available to you via the live chat. Also, you can contact via email, which is support@marketdojo.com. Also, there's a phone number available on our website. So we're not a company that wants to kind of prevent you from speaking to us in person if you want to. I know that sometimes having a very quick call is much easier than sending something via email. So if that's what you need, then absolutely that's something that we can accommodate. Okay, so now that we've gone through the whole process from start to finish, we thought it would be useful for our support manager, Chris, to go through some of the main queries that he gets through on our support portal. So I'm going to hand over to Chris and he's going to share his screen now.
Thanks, Elle. So now I'm going to go through the 4 most common queries I get through support. These are allowing your participants to resubmit a questionnaire, extending the deadline, re-inviting one of your participants, or deleting a participant's bid. So firstly, I'm going to go through how to extend the deadline on your event. So on the Overview tab, if you can scroll down to the bottom of the page and put your event into edit mode. Once the event's in edit mode, you can make changes to the deadline. So once it goes into edit mode, if you just scroll down to the area where you wish to extend the deadline and click in the white area, this will then bring up a calendar. So for this example, I'm just going to extend it by 24 hours. So you can use the slide down to find the time you wish to extend it to. So I'm going to extend it to 12 o'clock. And then once I do that, you just scroll down to the bottom and click Save Changes. Once you click Save Changes, you get an option with a pop-up box where you can send a message to your suppliers. But in this scenario, I'm just going to close down the box and no messages will be sent to the suppliers. But all the suppliers, when they log into the tool, can see that the event has been extended. Next, I'm going to show you how to reopen a questionnaire for one of your suppliers. So you click on the questionnaire where you wish to allow resubmit. So for a scenario, I believe it was participant 1 who wanted to have their questionnaire resubmitted because they supplied their website address rather than their delivery address. So if I just use the drop down here where it says change status, and then if I click on this button to allow resubmit, it will reopen the questionnaire for them. You don't necessarily need to let them know that you've reopened it, as the tool will send them an automatic email to let them know that the questionnaire has been reopened for them, and you'll be able to see via the questionnaire tab that you're waiting for resubmission. Now I'm going to show you how you can re-invite a supplier to your event. So whilst I've been on this questionnaire tab, I've noticed that one of my suppliers is missing. So if I now go onto the participants tab, I'll be able to see who has accepted the invite. Now I'm on the participant tab, I can see that participant 3 is yet to accept their invite, so I want to send them a new invite. So if I click on their name, this will bring me up a pop-up box, and at the bottom I can see a blue button which says resend invites to. When I click on that, it then gives me the option for this participant or all unresponded. In this scenario, I've only got one participant who is yet to accept their invite, so I'm just going to use this participant. But if you have an event where you've got a numerous amount of participants who is yet to invite, I'd always recommend to use the unresponded, all unresponded one. But for this one, I'm going to use this participant. So when you click on that, it gives you a notice to say that the participant has been emailed another invitation. Click OK, and then click OK to come out, and they've now been sent a new invite. And finally, I'm going to show you how to delete one of your supplier's bids. So firstly, you need to click on the Rfqs tab. In this scenario, I believe it was participant 2 who wanted their bid deleted on the snooker table, as they've accidentally bid £60 instead of £600. So if I click on the best bid value, this will bring me a pop-up box to show all the bids that have been placed so far on the snooker table. And at the top, I can see their £60 bid. So if I just go to the right hand side and click on the red recycle bin, am I sure? Yes, I am. So I'll click OK, and this then deletes their bid. And from their point of view, they can now place a new bid on this item. And that's the 4 most common queries we get on support. Now let's have a look at the questions you have submitted so far today. Hello everyone, thank you for staying on and listening to all that. Firstly, we had a few bits of feedback about the sound not being there. We do apologise for this, and a recording will be sent out to anyone who has registered by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So you should receive an email. In terms of questions, we've received quite a lot of questions through, so we'll do our best to answer as many as possible. If not, we will email you afterwards with the answer to your question. So the first question is more aimed at Elle. If you're ready, Elle, how are savings calculated?
So the savings are calculated based on the current price that you input into the tool. So when you're creating your lots, and this is in simple lots and in advanced lots, when you're creating your lot, there's a box that says current price. So if you input the price that you want the savings to be calculated there, if you don't know the current price, then I'd say it's best to put in like the expected price or the budget or something like that. So that the system has something to calculate against.
Thank you very much. The next question's for me, really. Sometimes I receive messages from my participants saying that the invite email does not work. Why is this, and what shall I do? On support, I see a lot of times where a supplier will receive an invite email and the link on the email is a one-time only link, and a lot of times they click on the link and think, I'll do that later. They go onto it later, they've used that one link. So what I'll do is just resend them an invite, and they should be able to work from there. Any problems, send them my way. Next question would be for Elle. Again, what if I don't know what the current price is?
So if you don't know the current price, then I kind of already answered myself there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Then either the budget or the expected price. If you don't have either of those and you wanted to be able to calculate against like a supplier's opening bid or against the kind of highest bid, then you do have the option to add in the current price later. So if you don't know it beforehand, you can add it in once you've had all the bids, so that then the system can calculate savings against essentially whatever figure you put in that box.
Thank you very much. The next question is for me again, really. Can documents be uploaded in Word as well as Excel format? Documents can be uploaded in any format, really. If you have a PowerPoint, that can be used. PDFs, anything can be used, which is lovely to see. And another question, if I have any problems during an event, will you be around to help? Yes, pretty much. You can start a live chat anytime during UK business hours of 9 till 5, or outside of these hours. If you email support@marketdojo.com, we're always available to help. But outside of business hours, obviously it might take a little bit longer, but one of us in the team here will respond to you at some point. Elle, what if I want to do an auction later?
So if you've done an RFQ initially and you decide actually the results of this look good, I've got enough participation, I've got a decent number of bids, and I want to kind of do that final that final negotiation at auction, then you can essentially just add on an auction stage. So you would go to the settings tab, and at the bottom of the settings tab, there's a box that you can fill out to select that you want to add an auction, and then you just see a few extra settings that you need to complete, like date and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's literally just click edit and add in the information to be able to add that on as an extra stage.
Thank you. And another one for you, Elle. If uploading an Excel sheet for bidding, does this need to be in a specific format, and how are results compared?
So if you're uploading, is that uploading an Excel spreadsheet, I guess, for into the document section? Yeah, so you can add any type of file into the document section that you want to. So you can absolutely add in an Excel file. In that case, if you're doing it as an Excel file into the document section, the system's not going to then kind of compare those figures for you. That would be kind of doing it however you would normally do. If you're using the Excel file to upload your bids into the tool, then you would do that as using a template in the simple lots or in the advanced lots section to put in the information, in which case if you've kind of used that template to upload the information, then it's gonna compare the different bids for you.
Thank you. Another question which I can answer is, can suppliers save what they are doing and come back to it via the one-time link before they submit? They can save what they're doing with a questionnaire and come back to it, but they can't come back to it via the one-time link, but they'll be able to access your event via their dashboard when they first log in. So if they go back onto Market Dojo, log in the top right-hand corner, put in their username and password, they'll be able to access the questionnaire again and continue from where they carried on from, not via the one-time link though. And another question, can I unsend a message I have sent on the messages tab? No. Please be careful what you send before you send it, and be careful who you send it to. Once the message is sent, there's no going back on that. A question for you, Elle. Do I have to award the lot to the lowest bidder?
No. So it's up to you who you award the lot to. Obviously, in a lot of cases, that will be the lowest bidder. But if you've had a questionnaire as well and you've got other elements to consider, then no, you can choose which supplier you want to award to.
Another question is there a way for participants to modify their answers once they have been submitted? I did cover that towards the end. The allow resub option is for both you and the supplier. So if you notice one of their answers is wrong or you don't agree with it, you can allow them to resubmit. But it's also the same if your supplier does submit their answers and they ask you to that they've made a mistake, you can always allow to resub the same way, which is nice. Question for you, Elle. Can suppliers see the notes that you add?
No, so the notes are internal only, so that's only something that you're going to be able to see, or anyone internally that's got access to the event.
Thank you. Another question for me. I see the Help Dojo tab in the bottom of the page. I haven't really looked into it too much, but can you give me an idea of what I can use this for? I know I can chat to you through it, but anything else that might be useful? We like to think there's a lot of useful information in there for both yourself and your suppliers. We have a lot of walkthroughs, frequently asked questions. It also, you may notice on the screen, you can see red question marks. That's also linked to the Help Dojo to give the help you need. So if you have any questions before you necessarily reach to us, there's a search bar in the Help Dojo. If you go onto there, search for your question, you may find your answer there. If not, start live chat. That's not a problem at all. Elle, by languages interfaces, i.e. Arabic or English, is it available within Market Dojo?
Yeah, so when you log in the top right, there's the option to switch your language. So I can't remember exactly how many we've got on there now. I think it's around the 20 mark with different languages. So yeah, you can switch that for yourself. So that'll mean that you'll see anything that anything in the tool in the language that you switch to. Also, if you switch that language, then that's the language in which invitations will go out to a supplier if they're new. So yeah, definitely have a look and check which options are available in the top right of your screen.
Thank you. Question for me, who should be responsible to register the supplier? Market Dojo operator or the supplier itself? Always the supplier. We never register a supplier at all. We have no access of their passwords, so we can't help them with that. So within the invite email the supplier receives, there'll be a green bar saying click here to accept invite, and that'll bring them onto a sign up page where they can complete their details and sign up. We do sometimes notice with the one-time only link that they think we've got their login details. We have no sight at all of passwords or anything. So allow them, re-invite them. Sometimes they can request a new password and that can bring it back into the loop. But yep, always the supplier has to register, never us. And on a similar with suppliers, once a supplier is registered, will the supplier name and contact be migrated to the Market Dojo database?
Yeah, so once they register, they'll be asked for their phone number and name. So yeah, that'll be in the database. So then that's available for you at a later stage if you're looking to invite them to future events.
Thank you very much. Another question that's just come through is, can I extend the deadline of an event during the event, and can I delay or extend after the initial deadline has passed? Yes, you can do both. So I showed you earlier, if you go onto the overview page, scroll down to the bottom, put the event into edit mode, you can extend the deadline to whenever you want in the future. If the deadline has passed, just say a week ago, you can always extend it again for another week once it's ended. I hope that helps. Question for you, Elle. Which time zone does Help Dojo operate in, and what would the lead time of responses be? Actually, I feel like that's more for me. I'll rush into that one then.
Question.
Yeah. The Help Dojo, all the information in Help Dojo is available 24/7, apart from the live chat, where that's 9 to 5 Monday to Friday UK time. The lead time of responses, that's a good question. So within hours, currently our first reply time over chat is around 8 seconds, and via email is about 0.09 of an hour, which I'm quite proud of. And resolution time within working hours is less than an hour. Out of hours though, so during our night time, our first reply time is around 2 hours and a resolution time of around 3 hours, which hopefully that answers your questions. So I'm just having a look to see the other questions that have come through.
Haven't we? We've still got quite a few to go through.
Sorry about this. I'm just having a look.
So we've got a question here asking when the event for e-auctions is planned for. So the webinar for e-auctions is currently planned for June with a date to be confirmed. So we'll come out to you with communication and let you know as soon as a final date for that is agreed.
Probably a question for you. Can you see an audit trail of the progress of each tender, e.g. when and who changed the specification?
So there is an audit trail available. I'm not sure whether it's all necessarily available in the UI though. So if ever you need to know who's changed something, then let us know. You should be able to see what dates documents have changed and what dates things have been uploaded, as well as what dates suppliers have input their information. So yeah, all of that information is definitely stored.
We just had a question. Is there the possibility to receive a recording of today's webinar? You will receive it within the next 24 hours. Any problems, start a live chat and I'll be able to get one across to you. Probably the final question really for you, El. Do all responses get a unique reference number that they can refer to and we can search on?
Oh, I'm not sure on that. I don't think so. When you're in there, you'll be able to see isn't each supplier response. I mean, you'll be able to see each supplier's response for each part. So you'll be able to see their response to any questions, the response for any bids, all that sort of thing. If you are using our Power BI integration for reporting, then you do have some other things that are available as well. So with that, we can kind of set up reports that are kind of more tailored to you. But I'm not 100% sure I fully understand that question, so I might just be waffling on a bit there. Sorry. I can see that there's also been a question about whether we'll be providing any training on contracts. So there isn't a date for any contracts training booked in at the moment. But if that's something that would be useful, then we'll bear that in mind and try and get something booked in for the future. If today has gone well and people are happy with it, then we can do a contracts one as well. And we probably are coming up to time. Is there any others that you can spot in there, Chris? Or do we have some sort of delay?
No, sorry, I was just concentrating at the questions. I will go through all the questions at the end of this call, and if for some reason we have missed one of your questions, I shall email you an answer. So please don't be offended that we've missed out your question at all. That's not my intention at all.
Fab. Cool. Well, yeah, we're at time, so we probably should stop because I feel like people will have other calls and things to get to. But yeah, thanks so much for listening to us today. I hope it was helpful. If you do have any feedback, definitely let us know, because we are obviously always wanting to improve these sort of things. And hopefully next time we'll have a bit more of an idea about what caused the audio issue for some people, and we'll hopefully get that fixed for future. But yeah, thanks very much, guys.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.